Well. This is August the 14th, 2022, and I'm gonna do a little demonstration here in a minute about how to make a prayer stick, particularly for the bull run, which this year is coming up on October the 2nd. So, but first, a little background about our relationships with the animals is like there's a story about how the chipmunk got its white stripe. And I don't want to like turn this into a 4-hour video, so just the quick version of it is that after humans came onto this planet from wherever we came from, that's another story. You know, things was going pretty good for a little bit, but then humans were like going through this phase where we weren't very respectful of the other creatures on this planet. So, you know, we started learning how to hunt and you know, got our bows and arrows and lances and so forth. And so there started being a lot of killing, and the animals got upset about this. So they had a council, and the thing that was discussed in the council was that each animal would pick out a disease or an affliction, whatever you want to call them, that when humans were not respectful of that animal, then the humans would get sick with that disease. And so, you know, this agreement, this relationship that we have with the animals is when we hunt the animals, we always pray first, you know, and ask that this animal that we're going to go out hunting, if they will sacrifice their life for the humans so that we can survive. And you know, and that we're only going to hunt enough so that it takes care of our needs, you know, in this situation, and you know, and we're going to not waste any of the meat or whatever. It's like we're going to utilize all aspects of the animal that we can, and after the hunter has killed the animal, that you know, they'll place like some cornmeal or tobacco or whatever way they pray, place it in the mouth of the animal and say a prayer and offer thanks for them sacrificing their life. So that's the role of the hunter, the code of the hunter in hunting animals. So as long as we followed that agreement and only hunted what we needed, then we would have good relations. And so this council was working on this agreement, and each animal was choosing their disease. And it came to the chipmunk, and the chipmunk was like, "Look, I'm a little animal, you know, little tiny thing, and I'm running around really fast, so you know, I'm not a lot of meat on me, and it's hard to catch me or hunt me, so I don't really need to pick out a disease. I don't, you know, I think it's great that the rest of you are doing this, but I don't need to." And the bear's sitting next to the chipmunk, and you know, everybody's like, "Hey, come on, you got to pick a disease. This is council, and we got this 100% agreement. So you need to pick a disease." And the chipmunk was refusing to do so. So finally, the bear got so mad at the chipmunk that you know, he takes his hand and goes pow, and tries to swat the Chipmunk's so fast that it jumps out of the way, but just those two claws catch the back of the chipmunk and leave these two little wounds on each side, and they healed, and when they healed, they left white marks, and so that's why the chipmunk has those two little white marks on its back. So those white marks on the chipmunk's back is to remind us that we need to have good relations with animals, and we don't. That's one of the concerns with things being out of balance today, is humans have forgotten this agreement, this relationship, and we're not very respectful of animals, and there's a lot of diseases that's resulting from this. And one of those diseases is the COVID that came around, started in 2019 in China. There's this one particular animal that they hunt and use in their their natural healing practice, and it's almost hunted to extinction. And that animal's like, enough of this, and send its disease out to humanity, and so we have COVID, and that's the reason we have COVID today. And so I got COVID from March 17th to March 27th. And during that time, it was like, I'm in this conversation with this virus and with humans, with the animals and so forth, about this concern and getting through it. So a few months later, I got some paint supplies, and I did this painting that this was completed on May the 7th, 2020, and it's called Cave Scratch, and I call it Cave Scratch because it's like my cave painting of me surviving COVID. And there's better ways to see it than me holding it up in front of my webcam, but that's what you get to see right now. So that's what was going on back then, back in 2020, and sad to say, humans are not getting the message. So that's one of the reasons we pray for the buffalo. Is like it back in 1990. I was realizing that one of the things that the Earth goes through these cycles, and one of them is ice age cycle, and we've been going through this 120,000 years of every 120,000 years there's a new ice age, and then for around 20,000 years there's a melt back. It starts, it may take 10,000 years or whatever for it to be fully in that place. We're in that melt back, where there's less glacial activity right now, and so with this cycle, it's like it's been 120,000 years since the last one, so it's time to go into more glacial activity. And so realizing that back in 1990, I started praying about it, realizing humans have we're between a rock and a hard place right here, in that certainly where I live in East Tennessee, there's not a lot of big game, and so that's where we've been able to survive and feed each other and so forth. There should be a problem. So I started that fall. I started the bull run for the return of the buffalo, and so today I'm going to demonstrate how to make a prayer stick, because the idea is this prayer stick was taught to me by Greg Savage back around 1982, so it was like 40 years ago. And so when I had the vision, it was like, for the runners to carry a prayer stick and to be able to go to an altar. The run would occur along running water like a creek or a river, um, and certainly in an area where the eastern black buffalo that's we thought was hunted to extinction, but shortly after I started the bull run, this herd was discovered up in Canada, and so do the run along a creek or river, and then have an altar, and when we put our sticks into that altar, our prayers are released into the earth, and that's how we pray for the buffalo. This prayer stick, when Greg taught it to me, it was like you could put it next to a spring or on the top of a hill. You make a prayer stick and you hang it over your bed, and for at least one lunar cycle, but it can be up there for 6 months. It's I've done that sometimes. Made one and had it for 6 months, and they took it up to the top of a mountain, prayed, and left it up there. And sometimes beside a spring. So and it's a pretty simple thing to do, and the reason I wanted to demonstrate this is people show up for the bull run, and it's like always on the first Sunday of October, so Saturday night they'll show up and like, okay, I got to make my prayer stick, and it's like, could you just make the prayer stick like a month or month or so before, and pray with it before you bring it? But anyway, I always suggest that it be something like about the length of your arm, somewhere in there. Put a point on it. It's best to put the point on it last, because if you're like, whittling on it, I've cleaned all the bark and some rotted wood. This is cedar. If you're whittling on it, you don't want to like stab yourself. So put the point on last. So anyway, this is the stick. It's forked. We have forked stick because it always reminds us we could choose to go the good path or the other path. So that's why we see the forked stick a lot in ceremonies. It's just to remind us we always have a choice. Each day we have to remember we're making a choice how we're going to live our life. And that choice, the choice we make today, determines that path for the rest of our life. So each day we choose how we're going to walk for the rest of our life. So there's a lot of symbolism in this very simple object. Here is my snug pot. So we like to do a little drama. Yeah, drama there. I already have a piece of red cloth. Just a nice little square. And then do a little pinch of tobacco. Smudge it. And put it in the square cloth. So very simple. I don't like doing prayer ties. It's not my religion. But when it came time to do the bull run, that was in the vision, so I get to do it anyway. you're just like, the screensaver just turned on. I hope I got some of that anyway. So we just like twirl this and then tie it. So you want to have enough string so you can do all this, and then let's do a quick half hitch. And then we're going to tie our prayer tie on the end of this prong. I call it a prong. It's a good word to use when you're talking prayer stick. It's on there real good, so there. That's it. We really like to keep the smudge bucket going while all this is happening. So I use a wild turkey feather. That's going on the other prong. The reason we use wild turkey, we call it the giveaway eagle because it's like a large bird that you can eat. And yeah, shout out to Laura Doan who gave me this turkey feather. Yeah, the wild turkey is one of those large game birds, so it's like using the wild turkey feather is like adding to the prayer of food for the people, and it's a lot of focus of our ceremonies is to pray for the survival of the species, and so that's basically what we're doing with the bull run. Is we're praying for the people in the long run. You know, when we pray for the buffalo, we're praying for humanity to survive. So just keep our focus on remembering that as we do our ceremonies, we're praying for future generations and good relations with all animals. So I have it like tied on like so, and so now you have this nice prayer stick way out here. And if you do your prayer stick before, a month or so ahead of time, you got time to decorate it. And or if you're doing one to put it up on your wall and pray about and pray with for a couple of months, and then take to spring or top of a mountain. It's really cool to decorate it. Greg Savage when he was showing me. He had embroidery thread, and you know, it was like really prettied up. It was a beautiful prayer stick, and you know, our prayers, we make them beautiful, and then we give them to the earth, the Creator, their prayers. So it's okay. So I just wrap mine with the red cloth like this. So it's just a nice way to fix it there. And if you show up on Saturday night before the run and you want to make a stick right then, we don't include this part in our stick making 101. So it's something you get to do a little extra and make those prayers really special. Because we take a lot of pride in our prayers, the way we pray, and the beauty. And then I like that the string. This is just a piece of yarn that Maggie left over from some project and left here, and so it's like 10 years ago or something. I've been using it for prayer sticks for the bull run ever since. Thank you, Maggie, for your contribution. I think she bought the red cloth also. Was a piece I wrapped with the piece of the red cloth that you made the prayer tie out of. Someone at the Eagle Voice Center over in Maryland gave it to me after Sundance here last month. So I got prayer tie cloth. Squares already cut out, ready to go. All right. So putting this on so you can hang it off your shoulder while you're like doing your runs, so you don't drop it. Because if you drop it, a prayer is said, and you go ahead and plant your stick where you're at. Because the earth is everywhere you can pray, but the ideal is to make it to where there's a designated altar in the run. And the bull run can be done anywhere, particularly related to the vision of the buffalo here in the eastern United States, the continent of eastern part of the North America. So those are the things I loved about the bull run vision. It's inclusive. There's a lot of inclusivity to it that can't explain it all in a 20-minute video. But anyway, now then, general idea is you have your smudge going all the time. But now that we smudge it, and it's ready to hang on the wall. And support your local medicine man, because medicine man is not supposed to hunt or fish. And doesn't sell his time, so he's supposed to be available for the people 24 hours, 365 days of the year. So can't sell our time, can't go out and get a job. We can make stuff. I can sell my artwork, but it's one of those things people say, well, I don't like art, so okay, don't buy art. How are you going to support me if I'm like the person you're coming to for help? I don't know. Anyway, peace out.